I am here to sort of try and do my labour and delivery story. It's a really long story, so I don't know if I'll have time to do it, but I'll try anyway. It all started on the 22nd of January 2011. I had been getting pains all night, but just mild periods of cramps. Sorry, I was just checking. I thought I heard somebody. And that was fine, so I went to the hospital because I found a midwife and she just advised me to come in just to check and see if I had dilated any. And this was after all night, by the way. I went in and she checked me and I made her dilated. So obviously that wasn't, good enough. So she asked me did I want a cervical sweep, and I said yes, I did. So I had my cervical sweep, which was uncomfortable but not too bad, just a little uncomfortable. Felt like something that shouldn't be done. Let's put it that way. Something that shouldn't be up there. So I got that done and I went home to my mum's, and I was in my mum's for about 15 minutes, and I was on the toilet at the time, and I had a huge gush of water and blood. So I then phoned the midwife again, and she advised me to come back in. So I went back in and they checked me, and I was around 2 centimeters dilated. So they decided to keep me in as my waters had in fact broken completely. So that was fine. I stayed the night, which was pretty horrendous to be honest, because I was in a ward with other women and you can't make a noise. Well, you can, but I mean, it's frowned upon if you make a noise. And yeah, hear me contracting, trying not to make noise. But I ended up just groaning anyway because I mean it's natural, and it can't be helped. So that was fine. There was a lady beside me also groaning, and yeah. So the next morning came, and they came around very early and said that they were taking me down to induce me, as my waters had broken, but my my dilation hadn't started properly yet. I wasn't contracting enough yet. So at around 8:30, 9 o'clock that morning, I went down to the delivery ward. I had two midwives who were looking after me for the day, and it started off with them putting the drip of Pitocin in, and that was fine. The pains did get somewhat worse, so I was taking the gas and air. I was actually kind of laughing. It was quite funny actually, because it just was. So that was fine. I was doing really well on the gas and air and just chatting to the midwives in general and my sister and my friend, and pretty much just sort of like standing, sort of swaying from side to side, and then up on the bed on my knees, swaying from side to side, just chatting away in between contractions, taking the gas and air, in between contractions, and that was fine. I was doing really well, and I just felt like it was very, very, very bad period cramps, which I can deal with. So then they decided then to up the dose of Pitocin from 40 to 60, and then from 60 to 80, and that was all in the space of like 20 minutes. And my contractions started coming very, very bad. Like the pain was unreal. I really did feel like you know, it was really bad, but I was dealing with it. Then they decided to do an internal sweep while I was contracting and while my son was moving down the birth canal. Now this is when I couldn't cope. This is when the pain just was too excruciating, and I think I probably did let out a yell or two, for the fact that they were doing internal sweeps on me while I was in labour. And I mean, they weren't bad, but it wasn't too bad whenever I wasn't in labour. It was somewhat painful, but it wasn't too bad. But when you're in pain that much and you're contracting and he's coming down the birth canal and everything else, it is excruciating. And I just wanted to slap the midwife for doing it right there and then. So they were asking did I want pethidine, and I kept telling them no, I don't want pethidine. I'm fine on the gas and air. It's painful, but I don't want pethidine, because I swore to myself I would try to do it without, you know, the major drugs, just on the gas and air or whatever. And they just kept going on and on and on and on. Take the pethidine, take the pethidine. And ended up coming in and saying, look, your auntie's out there, and she said you're to take the pethidine because it'll be beneficial for you. So I just ended up saying, right, okay, I'll take the pethidine just to shut them up, because I just, oh, they were just really doing my head in at this point. I sort of threw my hands up and said, right, fine. You know, I didn't want bothered by them any longer because I was already in enough pain and getting enough grief from everything else that I didn't want to have to listen to them going on and on and on at me for not taking the pethidine. So they gave me the pethidine. They gave me 2 injections of the pethidine, and it was the worst thing they could have done, was give me the pethidine. I am very sorry I did give in to them and say yes, because it made me vomit for 2 hours solid. And when your baby is coming down your birth canal and you're vomiting at the same time and your stomach's contracting at the same time, it's not good. It's excruciating, beyond excruciating by this point. So that was fine. I'd done the 2 hours of vomiting and whatever. They checked me again and I was 4.5 centimeters dilated. So the male doctor came in at this point and done yet another 3 internal sweeps I had in my whole labour. He done yet another sweep on me, and by this point I did let out a scream. I did scream. I'm going to admit it in front of you all, I screamed. It was so painful. So they came in and checked me again, and I was 5 centimeters, and this was after 21 hours of labour. And they said to me, right, okay, well, do you want to take the epidural? I was like, no, I'd rather not take the epidural. They said, right, okay, fine. And then they came back and they said, right, your infection levels are up, so we can't give you the epidural even if you wanted it. So I was like, right, okay, so that option's out the window even if I did decide that I wanted it. And then it really confused me by this point because I was out of it. I was just in so much pain and on so much drugs that, you know, I was just out of it. Oh, by the way, they put 7 cannulas into my hand before they could get a vein, and then they chose to do one in my arm. 7 of them bloody plastic needle things. Painful. My hand was bruised so bad. So anyway, by this point, they came back in and they said, look, your infection levels are up, you're not doing so well, the baby's not doing so well either, he's getting distressed, we're going to take you for an emergency cesarean section, you'll have to get the epidural now. So they took me in to the operating theatre and they tried to put the epidural into my back while I was sitting forward, but I couldn't sit forward. It was physically impossible. I just was in too much pain by this point. So they laid me on my side and they done the epidural, and that was fine. Then they came back and asked, because by the time, like, you know, been contracting for 21 hours. I'd only opened 5 centimeters, so that's why I decided as well to do the cesarean. So he checked that I was numb all over, and I was, and I remember like tugging and pulling on my stomach, and I remember just the lady, whenever the doctor took my baby out, said, "Oh, he's a funny looking wee girl," because I'd been told 3 times in my pregnancy that I was having a little girl. But I didn't care as long as he was here and safe. I actually was a little bit nervous because I couldn't hear him crying at first. But they brought him over to me and they laid him on me, and he just looked at me and I looked at him, and I just like, I felt so overwhelmed with love. It was unbelievable, and all the experience of the pain and everything just went. It was amazing how quickly you forget these things, even though it had been a really, really scary, long labour for me. I was terrified the whole time. When the pains got so bad, when they were doing the internal sweeps, when they gave me the epidural, it just got worse and worse and worse as my labour progressed. But as soon as I held him in my arms, it was like nothing can ever beat this feeling that I have for him. It's love that you'll never experience for anybody or anything in your life. Um, so yeah, that is partly part of my labour and delivery story. I have blocked a lot of it out because it was very traumatic, and I'd rather forget about it than remember the things that would sort of drive me to insanity if I thought about it too much. So yeah, that is it, folks, and I hope you're all doing really well, and I look forward to seeing all the new mummies, labour and delivery stories, and I hope you all have a better labour and delivery than I did, and that you get healthy babies at the end of your pregnancy, and good luck to you all, and yeah, bye.